And we're talking about the elbow and the shoulder in this video. We're looking at joints, muscles, and tendons in this series. So with the elbow itself, the elbow can move this way. And that's, pretty much it. It doesn't move back much. Moves up and around. Okay, that's the elbow. So how does the elbow work? How do we get that movement to happen in our body? How do our muscles and tendons create that movement in our joint? Well, it's because the muscles below the elbow knit onto the bone above the elbow. And the muscles above the elbow knit onto the bone below the elbow. And that's what makes joints work. The muscles above a joint are knitted onto the bone below the joint. And the muscles below the joint are knitted onto the bone above the joint. So that movement can be created by muscles, assisted by tendons, which are the ropes that tie the muscles onto the bones. So what is a joint? It's just a combination of bones that slide around each other, that slide around and have a communication with one another, kind of, right? You've got two forearm bones and you've got one upper arm bone, the humerus, okay? And those two forearm bones slide along around the upper arm bone through muscle and tendon action. That's your elbow. Why do we get elbow pain? Could be because there is a problem around those bones so that they're sliding kind of off track with one another, and that can be causing a little bit of friction there, and that could be causing pain, maybe some bone spur or something like that. But I see what's more likely is that at first it's the muscles. It's the muscles that get tight. They get mid-flexion. And if you want more of an explanation on that, it's in the hand and wrist video. So go watch that, and I explain muscle action and what tight muscle actually means in that video. In the meantime, what happens after the elbow? Well, those arm muscles, what do we have? Well, we've got our bicep muscle. We all know about the bicep muscle. Do we know about the muscle that runs underneath the bicep, called the brachialis muscle, right? On the back, we know about the tricep muscle. And we've got a few other things going on back here, but we've got a deltoid and so on. But we don't need to know the names of the muscles. We want to understand what the muscles are doing for us. So where does the bicep and brachialis knit onto the bone? It knits onto the bone on the other side of the joint so that we can pump iron or carry our groceries or our really heavy purse or our partner's really heavy purse. What about this movement? What if we're pulling something away from ourselves? We use the other arm muscles at the back, the triceps, the deltoids, okay? Don't worry about the words. Where do these muscles knit onto the bone so that we can do that work? Well, they knit onto the bone on the other side of the joint, right? And the forearm muscles knit onto the other side of the joint so that we can have movement. So let's look at the shoulder. The shoulder just doesn't go one way, does it? It goes many ways. It goes many ways. The shoulder goes forward and it goes backwards. The shoulder goes upwards and downwards. But it doesn't just do those four directions, does it? It can do a combination of all of those directions. Hopefully. Unless there's limited movement, which could be called a number of different things, like frozen shoulder, etc., etc., etc. But within those four directions that joint is able to move, We have so many muscles around our shoulder that we can do an infinite number of movements within those 4 directions. We can go north, south, east, west. We can go northwest. We can go north, northwest. We can go west, northwest, etc., etc. And that's because there's so many muscles in our shoulder joint, our shoulder girdle. So, what about the bones though? The upper arm bone has a ball and socket joint into this area. Actually, now I'm questioning myself. I'm not sure if it's a ball and socket. I don't think it is. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The upper arm bone knits onto other bones in our body, such as the collarbone, right? And the shoulder blade. We all know the shoulder blade, don't we? Sometimes it clicks when we move our shoulder around, it clicks. That shoulder blade back there that has 2 bones, and it's got that nice flat bone at the back, and that flat part of the bone floats above our rib cage back there. And its only attachment point to the body is up here in the shoulder. And all of that movement of the shoulder blade happens, and its attachment site is here. Attachment site, what does that mean? It means bone, very close to another bone, and then tendons and ligaments keep those bones able to move around each other without flying apart. Tendons and ligaments, the things that knit us together. Tendons knit our muscles to our bones. Ligaments, let's keep it simple. Let's think of our ligaments as knitting our bones to our bones. And ligaments do have a bit of flex to them, not very much. Tendons, on the other hand, have lots of flex to them. They're great little ropes. And when a muscle gets too tight, the tendon starts to get tight. And when the tendon gets tight, 2 bones in a joint moving around one another get squeezed together. So that movement is not as good or functional or comfortable. So it could be that the muscle above and below the joint are squeezing those 2 bones together, limiting movement. And then you're not able to reach into the cupboard for a cup, or you're having trouble drying your hair, or you're having trouble taking your grandchild or your niece or nephew or your kid and holding them. Those are some shoulder dysfunctions that are pretty common. And then you can have joint problems as well, where the actual bone is damaged or has some issue around it, and sometimes that affects movement. But let's focus on this video, muscles, tendons, and joints, because you can do a lot more about muscles yourself. It's just a matter of learning which muscle is affected, discovering what that muscle needs from you in terms of, okay, I need to stop doing this, or I need to start doing this, or whatever. What movements does that muscle need to have? And what movements does that muscle need you to not do in order to sort itself out so it's not continually squeezing your bones together? So you've got chest muscles, you've got shoulder muscles, so you've got the shoulder muscles, right? And those are the ones that we're most familiar with, right? From here up to the ear and up to the back of the head, where we get headaches. We know that's our shoulder. We know that's our shoulder muscle. We think about it a lot. Now those muscles can go to the back of the head and squeeze the head down and forward, or to the side toward the shoulder, so that you don't have as good of a head movement as you should. But those shoulder muscles might also go up into the ear or into the jaw, or to the sides of the neck might start to get involved, but we'll talk about that in the head and neck. But in the meantime, what about those shoulder blades? Well, they only attach here. They float everywhere else. So imagine how many muscles are at the back of your upper back, between your rib cage and your shoulder blade, that helps the shoulder blade slide around in all those different directions. Hopefully this was interesting and exciting. Hopefully this prompts you to want to learn more. And hopefully this is your step one to getting you able to manage your own body mechanics instead of having to rely on others 100% for that. Body mechanics and learning our body, what it needs as we go through the aging process, is a journey. And it should be a journey of learning. And it should be a journey where you are feeling in the driver's seat, where you are doing something about it yourself with some guidance and some help from others. That's a shoulder. Stay tuned for the next video.